I can understand how the Empire lost now, because there ain't no way those stormtroopers could have saw through these damn things. These are darker than sunglasses. I guess that's laser retardant. I don't know. They look cool until you put them on. But this is Jason of Archaix, and we're doing the ancient aliens today. And we're gonna have to do that without this thing on my head, because this ain't gonna work. I can't even see you guys, but it's a good thing my comms work. At least you can hear me. I see that chat moving. You guys know I have a tradition. We're going to wait a few minutes to get more people on board, because they're coming. I promise you that. But meanwhile, yeah, this ain't no Star Wars video. That's good, because I wouldn't be able to live in this thing at all. Woo! It's bright in here. It's bright in here. I'm farsighted, guys. I can see minute details, read license plates at great distances. Anything within 2 to 3 feet is just a blur to me. It's crazy. I can read that chart. I can read that eye chart at the DMV from a driver's license like it's nothing. Tiny little letters far away, but anything close up, I can't see anything. All right, let's do an audio check, guys. Let's get that audio check. Glad you guys could join me. This is going to be a doozy. I'm surrounded on 3 sides by Lake Conroe. And in the past 2 hours, we've had lightning hit Lake Conroe about 16, 17 times. It's really weird. It was really loud. When the lightning is in the air and thunder is not near as loud as when that lightning actually hits the water. Or it looks like it's hitting the water all around us. Yeah, it's crazy. Loud. Shakes all the buildings on the property. Thank you, Shiva, Ryad, Rihad, or Ryad, Boopster. Thank you, moderators, for being in there. I know there's some more in there. I see Jahara. Lord Matthew, you've missed a few, haven't you? Good to see you back. Victoria. Victoria was blowing up the chat thread earlier this morning. I saw her. Wendy Flores, how you doing? Pamela. Thank you, moderators. Thanks for being there. Matt Kubas, Square Peg. Square Peg, I heard you released a video recently. I got 2 emails from people asking me what happened to John Levy. You're asking the wrong person. I like John Levy. He's even plugged my channel a few times. I don't know anything about his personal life, though. The only communication he and I have ever had was through an apologetic email, a misunderstanding. But I don't know. I did look. He has released a video 3 days ago. So it's really kind of hard to believe that all of a sudden he's missing. 3 days isn't enough time. As a matter of fact, 3 days is the bare minimum to even file a missing persons report. So I don't know. I don't know about that one. Somebody would have to confirm. I did see other comments on his channel asking where he was. So I don't know. He could just be, hey man, a lot of people don't live on YouTube. They just upload once a week or once every 10 days. Great chat thread, guys. We got some more people coming. They're coming in. Thank you for liking the videos, liking the chat. I'm sorry about you guys that got blocked, especially last night and this morning, but you do it to yourselves. I said I give out ample warnings. I said I got 0 tolerance, no takebacks. Somebody was complaining about their video. I mean, their posts on Archaix on Facebook were being deleted. Some of them not approved. I mean, we have rules. We have rules on the Facebook group for a reason. I know because I designed them. And Stephen Walsworth in the past posted them, and they're still there. I just checked. So posts need to be Archaix related. And you got some people who want to promote a certain idea, which is cool. But when you spam the channel, you need to create your own Facebook group before you come into mine with 10 posts a week, all about Ireland is the origin of everything, which completely annuls. Listen, I know Ireland is ancient, but Ireland is not the origin of everything in Bulgaria. It's not the origin of everything in Egypt. Yeah, the ancient Celts didn't come up with everything. Other cultures and other civilizations have their value too. So to promote such a theory and then denigrate anybody who doesn't agree with that, your posts aren't going to be. We already let several of them slip by, but you spam the group, and that's what happened to you. And then when you complained about it on my channel, calling me all kinds of shills and stuff because I don't agree with Ireland is the origin of all things in the ancient world. Yeah, you just got blocked from my channel. Please don't email me and ask me to get back in. Like I said, I got zero tolerance, guys. I wasn't raised soft. I'm not going to conduct myself so either. So it's goodbye. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of blocking, unnecessary stuff. Majority of people on my channel, you already know my criminal history. It's nothing beautiful. I've already admitted to it. There's nothing I can do about it. It's 32 years old. Get over it, grow up, or get off my channel. It's real simple. Otherwise, we're here to learn and have fun. This is about ancient aliens. I'm going to blow your mind today because there's things you need to know about how this entire theory developed, what direction it's going, why it has been allowed to continue across multiple platforms. It too is a psyop. So, let's see. I'm just looking at the chat before I really get started. Oh, don't mind my coffee cup. I didn't see it. You know what? I was so busy running my mouth, I didn't see an audio. Does my audio sound better? I think I got the settings on my mic just right. I'm going to the very bottom of the chat thread just to see. I've been messing with the settings for over an hour doing test videos, and it seems that this microphone is fantastic as long as I keep my mouth within about 5 inches of it. Great. Thank you, guys. No more. Don't mix coffee with pickles. I already know. I know I'm weird, guys. I know I'm weird. 2023. 2023's got some excellent videos coming out, guys. I've already started working on them. I'm going to tell you now, there's not a single video of my 400 videos on Archaix that's anything like what I have prepared for 2023. I'm just going to surprise you. But somebody asked about my graphics and all that stuff. Listen, I do full-time Archaix from the very beginning. I have done all my own graphics, all my intros, the music I get from David Fesslin Studios. Most of the video fragments you see in my deal are copyright free from Pixabay, but a lot of the images, hundreds, maybe thousands of the images that you've seen on my Phalorn Saga, the fantasy images, and right here in Archaix spread throughout all my videos, if they're not done specifically by me, the graphics aren't, the charts and all that, then I get them from a place called 123rf.com. They've got 500,000 images to choose from. I have a monthly subscription. So, it rolls over. If I don't get enough images off the site, the next month I can go reach back and get the ones that they owe me. But they just automatically take money out the account. So yeah, but when it comes to all these intros, every intro you have ever seen on Archaix for every video has been done by me. Even the latest Christmas video was 100% done by me. But yeah, I take the time to do these things. This, like I said, told you guys from the beginning, once I divorce myself from the trade that I was doing in Paradise Rock Garden and I immerse myself full into Archaix.com, the quality of everything was going to continue. It's going to raise. I brought Matthew on because it's necessary. I'll give you an example. Somebody sent me a link to Suspicious Observer's channel. I've never seen any of his videos before. I've never really understood the trajectory of his material. So many people cite him and say that there's crossover and overlap between us, but I don't know that. And nor am I going to chase after large channels and just try to get coverage. No, I've grown Archaix organically, and because I did it the long game and I didn't try to hyperinflate my subs and all that, because I uploaded 250 videos before I even had 3,000 subs, because I did long-term planning, now I'm reaping the benefit of that. because I didn't do that, there are channels with 500,000 subscribers, but when they release a video, they barely get 10,000 views. Okay, the arithmetic doesn't work. What happened to all their old subs? Are they boring them to death? So this is the value of growing a channel organically. You know what I mean? You just gotta. I was working full time for almost 3 years just to get to the point where I am now. So this is why I have such high viewership in my videos, because it was grown organically, and I'm not gonna break that pattern. If it's not broke, I'm not gonna try and fix it. It's I did watch a video. He did mention that he was aware of my work, but he didn't know the details, and all that's fine. I'm not going to jump over there, and just because he's got 600,000 views now, I'm not just not going to do it. I've told you guys from the beginning. I don't mind. I don't mind sharing my material with other platforms. And in fact, from the very beginning, I've offered it freely to everybody. Hey, man, use my material, put it on your own channels, do whatever, spread the word. But there's not going to be cross pollination. I'm not taking somebody else's data and then applying it to what I have. I'm not going to cross contaminate or cross pollinate my material. It's just not going to happen. Archaix will remain unique until the day it is over. So, hello, Monica Pharaoh. Just got done talking to you on the phone. Sure did. Kelly, Kelly from Tartaria, Australia needs to moderate her comments. Moderators, get on top of that. If Monica said something is wrong, then I would trust her judgment. We got all kinds of infiltrators trying to get in Archaix lately, guys. Believe that. Behind the scenes, my friends, there's a war going on, and I don't know why they are dashing themselves against the stones, because all my haters are doing are blowing up my channel. They're sending a lot of people my way, and they're not even getting paid for it. I don't understand. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, we got enough people. There's over 1,000 people watching right now. I don't know how many are engaged in the chat, but it is time. Oh, the reason I brought Matthew on is this. I almost missed the point. The guy on Suspicious Observers, he made a very interesting comment. He's not used to doing live videos. He does uploads. So he did a live video the other day, and somebody emailed me and said, hey, man, check this out. This guy here, man, he's aware of your material and all that. Listen to his video. So I listened to the video, and toward the very end of the video, he did mention me. And but he was really stressed out through that video because he was doing a live video, and he hasn't been doing them. So his chat thread was insane. So it's moving so fast, he just cherry picks a few questions. Guys, this is the value of having Matt on my channel. It's the value, because I don't have to do that. Like right now, I can't keep up. I can't talk to you at the same time as and keep up with the chat thread. It's not going to happen. I have an agenda today. I have a spiel that I need to give you guys about ancient aliens. So the whole Ancient Aliens franchise, how it developed, what it means, where it's going, why it's been allowed. So this is what we're talking about today. But he mentioned that, man, how do these other channels do it, man? I don't understand how to keep this chat. Well, that's how I do it. I brought Matt on because he can deal with the chat while I'm doing a presentation. He can sit there and he does a real good job copying and pasting, going through the questions, copies a question, pastes it onto a text file, and then his text file is what he reads questions to me off of. That sounds like a very simple job, and it is for a single individual. It's not. If I had to do that while I was talking to you, it's impossible. So that's for some of y'all who have been who have been asking or dropping a lot of comments as why is this guy here, or what? You know what? I'm an all-inclusive type of guy. A lot of times in my videos, I say we, and I mean that, because if I am quoting Harold T. Wilkins from the 1940s and I am providing you guys valuable intel about the Phoenix phenomenon as conveyed by this researcher who was researching books from the 17 and 1800s and early 20th century, Harold T. Wilkins put these fantastic books out and described the Phoenix phenomenon, the flood of Ogyges, to a T, and the Great Flood. If I'm going to convey this material to you, and in the middle of that presentation, I am not ever going to put myself on a pedestal as if you're getting all this data just from me. No, I don't care if Harold T. Wilkins is dead and Hans Bellamy that he cites, and then Hans Boehringer that's cited by Bellamy. No, I'm an all-inclusive type of guy. When I say we in the Archaix research have formulated the premise that such and such and such, and then you guys send me emails and drop comments talking about who is we? Who is we? I'm telling you who we is. I'm including all my sources. Every man and woman before me that has put together a massive amount of data for which I have derived my education, they deserve to be named as errants. They deserve to be included into the Archaix paradigm because they earn that status. If I'm citing them, I'm citing them for a reason. So yeah, that's who we are. You know, if you don't see some of the help I have off the screen, when I say we, I'm including them as well, like Matt, or I have some help, from other people who are working on different projects for Archaix. Some of them don't want to be named. Some of them are just fine, just helping out, working on a project. So anytime I'm saying we, I'm talking about me, everybody who's involved, all my moderators, all my supporters, people who donate, members who donate. Yeah, like some of y'all get triggered about there's membership for the Archaix channel. I don't know why you get triggered from that. About 5 times now on my channel, I said membership are for those who believe in the Archaix research and want to support it and want to see this go farther. But there's no benefits to it. I am never going to produce a bunch of videos that only a few individuals will be able to see, and the line of demarcation happens to be finances. That's not me. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to make anything exclusive for somebody just because they have money when somebody else doesn't. It's not going to happen. So anyway, needless to say, we need to get on to Ancient Aliens now that we have almost 1,200 people in the chat. Now I know that many of you can understand that since 1902, there was the first science fiction movie ever came out was in 1902. You guys know 1902 is a very interesting year, but in 1902, A Man on the Moon is a movie. You can Google this. It's really weird special effects for the time. All black and white, no sound, but it's about humans sending a man to the moon and this is a movie from 1902, and it's got the moon as a face and it moves. It's just really weird movie, but it was very entertaining for the time. But with science fiction, started with Jules Verne before that, with Captain Nemo and the underwater submarine that was more like a spaceship and the world that it went through. It's very interesting. But science fiction developed very quickly, and with the development of science fiction, now we can look back from 2022, the past 120 years since that first science fiction movie in 1902. In the past 120 years, these shows and movies have normalized the idea of interstellar travel. They have normalized the idea of aliens and UFOs and extraterrestrial civilizations and all these things that we have absolutely zero evidence of. And I'm going to get through that in this video. And I really wish that my dog would be quiet. I have a huge Rottweiler. I've got a pit bull mixed with bull mastiff, and he looks mean. He's growing big too. You've seen him before. I got a Jack Terrier that's pregnant, and then I got an ankle biter Cocker Spaniel that's vicious and it always barking. So anyway, this is it's so easy to look back in retrospect and see the tens of thousands of cinematic productions, the hundreds of thousands of articles and short stories, books that have been published in multiple languages. we have been saturated with the idea of extraterrestrial civilizations. And this has promoted the idea that we can travel in space, that we can pass the Van Allen belts, that there's some way that we can get beyond the radon belt and not die in the attempt. So, we start with Erich von Daniken. He's a name many of you know. Many of you have read the books. Gold of the Gods is a pretty good book. It's one of his later books, but I really like that one. Gold of the Gods. He started with he made his debut with Chariots of the Gods. Chariots being in his idea an ancient reference for UFOs. So with Erich von Daniken, he wasn't the first. He's just the first to get publicized and the media to pick it up and to help share his message. There were writers way before him, like Ivar Zapp, Jacques Vallée. There were other ufologists who were already documenting things. Even the great Charles Fort had documented many things, but Charles Fort was a lot like I am. Although he was aware of many UFO accounts, he was also aware of all kinds of other anomalies and was able to put them into their proper context, which is what we're going to do in this video. We're going to put this stuff back into its proper context. Did my chat feed stop moving? Y'all let me know if I ever fade out. Y'all can hit that like button too. Don't be shy of that like button. Okay, cool. Y'all can still hear me great. So we have with Erich von Daniken this we have really the world's first approach to the UFO ancient alien theory by he provides an astounding amount of evidence of high technology in the ancient world. A lot of the astronomy was misrepresented. A lot of the artifacts are misrepresented because in Erich von Daniken's mind, everything in the ancient world showed evidence of ET interference. Therefore, when it's like Abraham Maslow said it best, when the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem becomes a nail. So this is what Erich von Daniken did, and his books are very good, and I was very impressed with them, and I even fell for it for a while in my life, and I believed, okay, yeah, this is exactly what these biblical passages mean. This is what it means in this text here, in these Hindu beliefs. Now I understand. Yeah, the gods that came down from the sky, I get it now. I understand. There are aliens, they're ETs, but we have a problem with that. That's what we're exploring in this video. So Erich von Daniken began this. It was Chariots of the Gods, but after he had released dozens of books, a new player entered the game. While over 50 or 60 major writers released books on UFO theory and extraterrestrial theory and all that, Erich von Daniken took it to another level by including all these archaeological anomalies, but Zecharia Sitchin took it to another level. He didn't just stick with the archaeological anomalies. He actually did better dissertations than Erich von Daniken concerning the mysteries of the archaeological world of human antiquity, and really left a lot of things unexplained intentionally because he wanted you to interpret it as ET alien invention. He gave the mask. I'm telling you, he basically gave the faceless aliens of Erich von Daniken. Now he gave them a personage, the Anunnaki. This right here, the Earth Chronicles, we all fell for that too. Don't lie. Many of you read those books and fell in love with the idea and all that for a while till things were not making sense. But Zecharia Sitchin's The Earth Chronicles did exactly that. He now gave a personality or a series of personalities to the ancient aliens, made it all the more plausible, gave them names straight out of Sumerian, Akkadian, and ancient cuneiform texts. So now all these figures from the ancient world were now, they had descended from the sky. They came from a planet called Nibiru. They did all these things. Now, this was Zecharia Sitchin's deal. So the academic world was silent. Not because they were overwhelmed with Sitchin, but because Sitchin's material was put out by the media. It was promoted, and that's a red flag. Sitchin's material exploded onto the world scene. The media was behind it, helped him advertise, helped him spread the material. And then all academia could do, or all they really wanted to do, was snuff it, which is exactly what they should do. They just ignored it. Like, so what? I don't care what he's saying. None of it's true. It's all fantasy. And this is because scholarship was already familiar with George Smith. They were already familiar with Lenormand. They were already familiar with Champollion. They were already familiar with Le Plongeon. They were already familiar with Samuel Noah Kramer and Mallory, Mallory, I can't remember, Maureen Gallery Kovacs. They were already familiar with Thor Heyerdahl. They already knew the story of Sumer. They already knew how these outsiders had come in and basically restarted history after a reset. They already knew. The only difference is Zecharia Sitchin was the first to say that all they came from space. And that's why scholarship ignored it. So we can actually look at the Earth Chronicles and assess their value because some of the archaeological material brings awareness to the public on mysteries and enigmas they were unaware of, because most of the public have never read Harold T. Wilkins. They have never read some of these earlier authors like Busenbark that already talked about all these amazing discoveries from the ancient world. Yeah, Sitchin, basically his bibliographies are packed with all the books you should be reading. Many of the books that are in my bibliography that's for free on Podia, the books that educated me. Sitchin's read those books. Unfortunately, Sitchin just put a different twist on everything, and it was very popular. Earth Chronicles are still #1 bestsellers today. But then we have another guy who popped up. And his is from a very different perspective now. Doesn't really care about too much of the ancient translations, didn't care about all that. He did cite a lot of traditions, different old belief systems and stuff. His name is Raymond E. Fowler, and he wrote a huge monumental book that's found in many libraries today, also pushed by the media. The book is called The Watchers. And his alien theory deal focused on the phenomenon of human abductions. I love coffee. Let's see. Making sure my chat's not getting away from me. Oh, the Force. Yeah. Moment of silence for that. Has anyone seen AMP research? You're not talking about AMP research. I've never heard of AMP research. Never heard of AMP research. Anyway, so Raymond D. Fowler and The Watchers was fantastic. Any of you, I know some of you have read that book. If not, you need to find it. Maybe there's a free PDF online. I don't know, but I do know that the book was still being sold 10 years ago. And I know that when I was on East Ham Prison, the old book, The Watchers by Raymond D. Fowler was in the library, and that's how I read it. And it was a pretty popular book. Yeah, I like the hell out of it. Monitoring this chat. So anyway, Zecharia Sitchin, Zecharia Fiction. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Like that. So he approached the idea. Now, when you read this book, you will walk away convinced that, okay, there's an alien abduction phenomenon really going on. There's way too many doctors, way too many scientists, way too many people involved. Too many people have claimed to have been abducted in the nighttime in their sleep, driving down the car. They experience time dilations where when by the time they come to, they realize there's some missing time. And when they go through hypnosis, regressive memory extraction, whatever it's called, they do remember details, but there's other details that are very, very telling. Some people who pull out more information through hypnosis, they describe that they see these alien beings, and sometimes men in black suits are in the background. And they see them too, and they hear people talking as if they're in a laboratory, and it's just very unusual. And over and over and over and over, these people have reported the exact same things. They got the distinct impression in their unextracted memories, not in hypnosis. They have these dreams and this idea of alien faces and all that, and they automatically jump to the conclusion they're on a UFO spaceship. But when they go through hypnotic regression or whatever it is, it's some type of therapy. When they go through hypnosis and the details are pulled out from them, it's a stage show. They offer all the details to tell the researchers that, man, these people were wearing masks, and they thought that because I was drugged, I would only perceive those that were in my face. But I was looking in the distance, and there were men back there just having normal conversations in English. So when you take all of these things into consideration and you read these books, now Raymond D. Fowler is convinced that there's an alien abduction phenomenon, and I'm going to tell you now, Jason of Archaix will tell you as a fact that there is a human abduction phenomenon. But there's no evidence of an alien abduction phenomenon. There's no evidence whatsoever that ETs are involved in any way. And this is what this video is here to explore. For those of you who have not already seen my videos that talk about these things, like alien tricksters and the research of Dr. Roger Lear. And I know a lot of you are not familiar with that research, but it's highly compelling. So anyway, Raymond E. Fowler. So real quick in the world scene in the 1970s and 80s, it was almost fused into the collective consciousness of humanity that ETs are messing with us. They've been messing with us since ancient times. We've got scholars that are now saying that our ancient records are direct evidence of ET involvement, that our holy writings were all designed by ETs. And now we have hundreds of new authors in articles and books and in videos that are putting out material that are now reinterpreting everything in the holy writings and in the Bible in any way they can to promote an extraterrestrial presence over and over and over. So this saturation continues, and then we have Robert Temple. Robert Temple publishes The Serious Mystery. My friends, many of you have sent me emails. I have not dignified them with a response, and I apologize for that. But I cannot stress enough the absolute total BS that was foisted upon the world when Robert Temple published that book, The Serious Mystery, about an African people called the Dogon who believed in an ancient race called the Nomo, and that this race called the Nomo taught them about the star Sirius and Sirius B, which cannot be seen with the naked eye. Now, this is really interesting because I'm telling you that the Dogon as a culture in Africa exist. I'm telling you that the Nomo are a belief of these people. I'm telling you that I can believe, doesn't matter if I believe it or not, but I can believe that the Dogon have traditions about an unseen star companion to the star Sirius. I'm telling you all these things. I'm also telling you that Robert Temple is full of shit. Absolutely. Because he took a cognitive leap in a direction that he should have never gone. But he did it because he was a product of the times. He saw the trajectory of events that were in the publishing world and knew what would make him the most money. Knew exactly if he promoted the ancient alien theory that publishers would get behind his book and blow him up. And that's exactly what happened. Because many researchers have followed up on this story. There is not a hint in the Dogon culture of any belief whatsoever in extraterrestrials or space people or ships, anything that came down from the sky. There's that exists. It does not exist. There are many researchers who have been frustrated because they tried to follow in the steps of Robert Temple and tried to see how he derived these conclusions. The only thing that has ever been found, and it's by anthropologists, is that the Dogon culture has a belief in a race of spirits that come out of the water that are called Nomo and that teach them all kinds of things about the past. That is the core material by which Robert Temple then turned around and published a book as evidence or proof that in Ancient Aliens. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. What's further ridiculous and what is showing us the pattern of deceit is that Graham Hancock was largely influenced by this book, which came out in the late 70s. Graham Hancock now began to promote what is called by the pseudoscientific community, the New Egyptology. Now, Graham Hancock spearheaded the next phase of basically the cultural interpretation of the ancient world. So, you guys know the book. Many of you, Fingerprints of the Gods. I know I've read it about 6 times. Man, my copy looks like a rainbow. I've gone through with different colors and stuff. Yeah, because it's just, yeah, it's ridiculous. I could write a book just showing you all the information that could be interpreted totally different in Fingerprints of the Gods. But these fish-like water spirits called the Nomo were not ETs. They were not ETs. Robert Temple, in the Serious Mystery, he's the one that created that fiction based off of fact. So, yeah, it's crazy. And for those of you who still want to lean on the idea that, oh, well, the Nomo could have been aliens. They could have been aliens because how else would they have ever been able to teach them about an unseen companion star to Sirius B? Guys, the vapor canopy answers that. We don't have to leap to the assumption that extraterrestrials came down here and taught anybody about an unseen star. We don't. We have other traditions that I have mentioned in the past that when the vapor canopy was intact at nighttime, it magnified the heavens to where we could see 4th and 5th magnitude stars that we cannot see today. So, yeah, it's all the whole Robert Temple theory falls apart. And there are reasons why Robert Temple hasn't come back on the scene and done apologies. For those of you who don't know, an apology is not I'm saying sorry. That's not what it is. An apology is a written defense of your position, of why you asserted something to be true. That's what an apology is. This is what the whole school of apologetics means. Thank you, Mr. B. Sorry, guys, I don't have Matt here. Joe Houses, thank you, bro. But I'll get to these questions here in a little while. I want to get through my presentation first, but Graham Hancock is the next milestone in the collective consciousness. Now, all these now we have very slick. He did not have to promote ancient aliens. Graham Hancock didn't have to do that because the idea is now firmly implanted into the human psyche through Eric von Daniken, Sitchin, Raymond E. Fowler, and several other authors. Graham Hancock now, it's like negative reinforcement. He doesn't have to directly even mention aliens or extraterrestrials anymore. All Graham Hancock has to do is isolate the enigmas, the mysteries of the ancient world, publish fantastic books, show that these are inexplicable. We don't understand how this happened. Look at this right here. It's impossible by our standards today in architecture. That's all he had to do because it gives him plausible deniability. I ain't never promoted ancient aliens, but in fact, he has. All his books. So, because this is what the human mind does. Once the human mind already has an avenue by which to interpret new data, the new data has to pass through those filters. Yeah, guys, we are manipulated on a scale that you would not believe. You would not believe. So then we have then we have researchers that are just absolutely fascinating. Like Trevor James Constable, a total freethinker, an inventor. He comes up with his own camera because the lenses that are manufactured today in the ways the black lights and the way that we develop film today actually excludes a lot of data that is out there. So he develops his own way to process film because we only see 5.5% of the electromagnetic spectrum. He designs a camera that can see in all kinds of ultraviolet spectrums. He starts taking pictures of things that are in the sky that are alive, that can change shape, that automatically realize when they're being observed by a human and photographed. They change their dimensions. They look like amoebas, giant amoebas in the skies, big blobs that can take on different shapes, and in an instant they can move at like subluminal speeds, fast as hell, change directions, defy physics. He has photographed these. His books are fascinating. His name is Trevor James Constable. He has the black and white pictures that show all these things in the sky. And he even theorizes that these are the things that we call UFOs that are moving so erratically and defy physics and do all these things. He says for short periods of time, they're able to be to emit light in the electromagnetic spectrum that the human eye can see. So sometimes they look like they're dripping water, but they're dripping light off of them. It's fantastic. But this guy adds another layer to the mystery, Trevor James Constable. But the media has never pushed Trevor James Constable. They've tried to silence him. Academia has waged a war against him. This should tell you something. Then we have this great series of books. I encourage everybody. I don't get any money from this, guys, and he has never ever reached out to me and thanked me at all. But I know that he has sold hundreds, if not thousands, of books just based off my recommendations. His name is David Hatcher Childress. He's a part of the Ancient Aliens clique today. So what I like about David Hatcher Childress is not just his brevity and his ability to amass so much data, but that he has traveled the ancient world. He's traveled all over the world to many of these sites that he researches. And in his books, The Lost Cities, it's called the Lost Cities series. I've read every one of them. There's like 8 of them now. And they are completely packed with archaeological enigmas and anomalies and mysteries and things that are just fascinating about all over the world. And much of my Phoenix data comes from his books, but he himself has never mentioned at all the Phoenix phenomenon, doesn't know about the 138-year periodicity, anything. I love his books, and I encourage anybody to read them because they're going to open your eyes up at just how populated and technologically sophisticated the ancient world was. It's awesome books, awesome books. But David Hatcher Childress was invited to join the Ancient Aliens clique because of his series of books and because of all the information he brings to the table. But out of that whole clique on Ancient Aliens, he really doesn't push Ancient Aliens. He's just there. I mean, this is just I guess something he's doing later in his life. But I don't really have anything bad to say about David Hatcher Childress, other than the fact that he's participating in a psyop. Now, so I do encourage people to read those. They're fantastic books. David Hatcher Childress, The Lost Cities. So we have another researcher we need to discuss. We need to discuss this researcher because this is, you guys know, it's one of my favorite words. But his book is harrowing. The pictures and what is being described, and the fact that we know and can easily verify that academia and the media are at war with this man. That should tell you something. This man's name is Dr. Roger Leir, and he published a book. When I read it, listen, this is one of those books that when I read, I had to process it. It wasn't something that I was processing as I was reading it, like this book right here from 1885. I've been deep in this book. I have been deep in this book for days. Whenever I'm not doing anything else, I'm reading this book because I'm doing videos out of this book. As a matter of fact, I have to do a video on the Spitsbergen data. It's the data that invented the ice ages. And yet that data doesn't do anything but prove vapor canopy. So I have to do a video on that, but I'm pulling a lot out of here because they don't even talk about that data anymore. But that's how the ice age ideas were formulated and then used to convince the rest of the scientific community, because when ice ages were invented, they were not convincing. The rest of scholarship actually rebelled. They weren't trying to hear that about ice ages and all that. But then this discovery, the Spitsbergen data, changed everything. Everybody got on board. And then once all the collegiate books 50 and 60 years ago had already introduced as fact these ice age periods, they omitted the data. Now they don't even mention that data anymore. So this is the value of reading these old books, guys. We see the trajectory of knowledge and how things are not discovered, they're manufactured for us to believe. So Dr. Roger Leir, The Aliens and the Scalpel. This book, man, I didn't know what to do after I read this book. I even wrote my publisher a thank you letter. I said, hey, you know what? I've gotten hundreds of books from Booktree because it's a reprint publisher. And at the time, I was waiting on Jordan Maxwell to get back with me because a copy of my book, Lost Scriptures of Giza, was sent by my publisher to Jordan Maxwell. And I was waiting on responses from Hugh Montgomery in the United Kingdom, who's also an author. And Jordan Maxwell was going through some health issues and ended up passing away. And he and I never really got to do anything, but it was on the table, because Jordan Maxwell's books were published by my publisher as well. But that's all good. But it was at this time period that my publisher sent me a book. So you might want to check this out, add it to your database. So I held on to that book for like 8 months. It was just in the back of my library. I looked at the cover and I judged it by the cover because it shows a little ET and it shows a scalpel and it's just like, okay, you know what? I'll get to that when I get to it. And I am so glad that I ended up reading it. Aliens in the Scalpel shows definitive proof by scientists that the human abduction phenomenon is not only real, but we have actual artifacts proving that this phenomenon is taking place. And these artifacts are found in people's bodies. They aren't just implants. There's something really, really unusual. They are implants that are inside bioresonant sacs. The sacs themselves actually energize like a battery the implant inside. The implants are made of some unidentifiable metal. It's very unusual, some alloys. But the sac membrane is so unique because it is a genetic modification of the host's DNA. Meaning you can't put an implant, these type of implants can't be put into a separate host. They are genetically designed for the individual that is carrying that implant. The sac is so resistant to a cutting that it takes a lot of effort for a scalpel to finally break through, but when it does, it opens up instantly. On contact with air, the actual implant dies. The only way that these were able to be preserved for people to study, Dr. Roger Lear realized that these are genetic implants and that they will self-destruct if if that sac is opened. It's a defensive measure. It instantly self-destructs unless you open it while it's totally submerged in the blood of the host. Meaning that the individual's blood, whatever, has DNA signatures to it that are read by the implant, and the implant doesn't sense a threat. So it doesn't self-destruct, even if the membrane is removed with a scalpel. Another harrowing thing was that on camera, Dr. Roger Lear actually shows that some of these also resist attempts to locate them. They can move in the body. He shows his scalpel getting close to one and it burrowing deeper under the epidermis of a person's body. It acts with intelligence. These are harrowing, but I'm going to tell you in the same mouth that I'm telling you that this is a real phenomenon and that we have real artifacts that are being studied now that prove that the human abduction phenomenon is going on. With the same mouth that I'm telling you all this, I'm also telling you that none of this is evidence of extraterrestrials. None of it is evidence of ET involvement in human affairs. And we'll get to that. So it is very easiest to make these conclusions about these stories and traditions and folklore and myths and fables, ancient texts, the Bible. We read these things and we read of hybridization, we read of the origin of giants, and we make these assumptions that, oh, okay, well, origin of giants, well, I understand exactly what that is. That's those aliens. They came down and they abducted human women, and the women had babies, and the babies grew up to be monsters and giants and mutants, and that's how that whole story went down. And I'm telling you, it's not true. It's not true at all. This is what we've been led to believe. This is even what I used to believe because I followed the research as it was presented to me over a period of time through several different authors. But that's exactly what I was led to interpret. It was all by design. So I got some more coffee because we're going deep. I know damn well I don't have 800 haters. 972 likes and almost 1,800 people listening. Now I know about 100 of those. 100 of those hate my guts, and I'm cool with that. But those likes could be a lot higher. Thank you, guys. Let's see here. Why is my chat faded? My chat looks faded. I don't understand. Like my chat's not bright like it is, but it's moving. It's moving pretty fast. But what did I do to my chat to make it? I guess there's a setting. Maybe I did something. A setting. Come on. I don't know why. My chat looks faded. Maybe somebody can tell me that. Opacity? That's a good word. It's weird. I don't know why my chat looks like that. Normally it's bright. Oh, there it is. Okay, I got it. There it is. Yep, Pyramid 7. You're right. All I had to do was click it. Listen, I'm tech retarded, guys. I'm really not. Not like you think. Not like you think at all. Really tech retarded. So another book that you're going to want to put on your to-do list, especially you, Victoria, because you read every single book I name. I already know. So, yeah, Roger Lear, Dr. Roger Lear, The Aliens in the Scalpel, not evidence of evidence of alien intervention, but it's absolute proof with artifacts. Abduction phenomenon is occurring. Yep, sure is. Sure is. explained in my giant videos, guys, the vapor canopy answers many of these mysteries from the ancient world. It's not UFOs. High technology is not evidence of UFOs or extraterrestrials. Remember, guys, we humans, we got to take credit where credit's due. Horse and buggy, 200 years ago, we were on horse and buggy. Look where we're at today. Walk down Manhattan, Fifth Avenue. Look at where we're at today. Yeah. 200 years ago, you couldn't have walked down the street like that. No. 200 years ago, there were buckets and horse troughs and wash stations in front of every building in all the cities. Why? Because you walked through horse shit everywhere you went. 200 years ago, horse shit was a problem. And when automobiles were invented, the media in the world industrial complex came together and praised the invention of automobiles as the savior of the world. Yeah, guys, some of these mud flood pictures you're seeing from all these old cities, that's not mud, guys. It was very common in the 1800s during the beginning of the industrial age. Yeah, before there was automobiles, but we had factories everywhere and cities were overpopulated. Everybody had horses. It was a major problem because there was nobody who had jobs to clean up horse shit. There wasn't, and horse shit was all over. Years and years and years and years accrued of horse shit, and the streets were steadily cleared by people traversing it, by more horses and carriages and wheels. Yeah. So what happens? It gets pushed to the curves. It gets pushed. There were no sidewalks back then. It was everything was just paved. Everything was pavers and brick, and let's say just covered and buried in horse shit. Yeah. The automobile was said to be the savior of all the cities because of that. Just a little tangent, guys. You know I entertain tangents all the time. So we can go back. You know, these books have opened our eyes up to a lot of things, but they have promoted mysteries as if those mysteries themselves are proof of extraterrestrial intervention in human affairs, such as the old medieval and Renaissance era traditions and beliefs of the common people in Europe. Yeah, the villagers, pagans. Yeah, they believed in fairies, and they feared the fairies. Yeah, they feared the music of the fairies was gonna sucker them into another dimension. They're gonna get taken underground, and all kinds of things were gonna happen to them. They feared the fairies, and they feared the fairies because the fairies would switch out human babies with fairy babies that looked almost identical to the original babies that the mothers had. Some mothers had suspicions though, and for the rest of their lives, they could never really attach to the baby. There was a disconnect. Those women were absolutely correct. Yeah, there's all kinds of things happening here, and it's not extraterrestrials. It's not aliens. There are no UFO accounts with these. This was a phenomenon of little beings appearing and then taking their babies. You couldn't leave a crib by a window. Yeah, this is an old belief, guys. It goes back a long time. Then you have things like the Dead Sea Scrolls. You have you remember Lamech accused his wife Bitanash of basically having sex with angels, because when Noah was born, he didn't look anything like them. And he was upset about that. He was so upset he traveled all the way to Methuselah's house and asked Methuselah, the son of Enoch, "Hey man, what's going on here? It looks like my wife had sex with one of the sons of God." And yeah, it was crazy. And Noah was the beginning of a totally different race that didn't look anything like the indigenous people of the pre-flood world. So, and of course, you guys, I have a video or two about 1947 and about Wright-Patterson Air Base, the real Roswell. Well, yeah, Area 51, Hangar 18, that's the fake. That's the area that the media put out, because that's what the military industrial complex wanted them to do. Hey man, you guys need to mention this. This is the place that we took the downed UFOs. This is where we took the alien bodies that were recovered in 1947. All that stuff that was staged out there just perfectly, so researchers could come in and actually buy into the psyop. Yeah, the people that excavated and took all those pieces and all that. Yeah, it was technology, it was hardware, maybe even some software, but it was from our world. It was just from a very different part of our world. No evidence whatsoever. It was staged to make it look like it fell out the sky, but it didn't. It didn't. The whole Roswell incident is a psyop. And many people have uncovered elements of this. They just haven't put the whole thing together. So most of the work done, it was an assist. Some people claim it was an alien assist, meaning they recognize that these UFO crashes in the 40s and 50s were intentional. And they say, well, these are alien assists. They wanted to give technology to humanity and in exchange for something. And all that's good, because I totally agree it was an assist. Absolutely agree. Was it an alien assist? I don't believe that at all. Not for a minute. No evidence of extraterrestrial activity here. Not when you take so much care to promote the idea that it was extraterrestrial. Yeah, that's a red flag for me. So, I have a video about it if you guys want to go into details about Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and all the stuff that was going on with the Roswell incident, and how Hangar 18 and Area 51 have always been bullshit. That's just part of the narrative, part of the story. The real pieces that were spread out for us to find were all taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base to its reverse engineer all the stuff to make figure out how to manufacture titanium and different types of alloys. It's very interesting stuff. So we have to take consideration too eschatology. Yeah, we have to, when we're going to explore something as important as maybe another race interfering in the affairs of humanity, then eschatology is a great place to look when we have no answers anywhere else. And in the eschatology, we have two major prophecies: the Mayan prophecies about the collapse of time and the invasion of demons, and we have the book of Revelation, which is probably descendant from the writings of Cerinthus, that the church adopted and then forged and said it was written by John on Patmos. And these writings largely came from the Orphic prophecies and especially the Sibylline oracles and books. But the writings of the Revelation, I have several videos about the Revelation and how unusual the images are, because it's not cross-referenced anywhere in the Bible except the book of Genesis. It's like the Omega text only references the Alpha text. And this is really interesting, because the symbols that are used in Revelation would have never been understood by a Greek or a Hebrew world, because the symbols are definitively Sumerian that are used in the book of Revelation. So we have interesting things about the book of Revelation is that out of the deep will be an invasion of 200 million locust demons. Yeah, their physical description: chitinous armor, human-like faces. Yeah, guys, we don't have in the prophecies anything that even infers there will be an invasion of an extraterrestrial species, and we don't have any of that. What we have in the ancient texts and legends is a tripartite world. We have a world that was recognized as a heaven above, a celestial realm where something went wrong. And then we have a Midgard, the world we know today, where there's a conflict ongoing, and that conflict is a battleground, and the warriors themselves are blind to what's really happening. And then we have a Niflheim. The Niflheim is the underworld, and it's populated by elves. These are the old traditions. This is the origin of heaven, earth, and hell motif. So the modern day UFOs, many of you can agree, they defy physics No propulsion system that could ever be manufactured in the physical material world could ever do what we see these UFOs doing. Yeah, nothing can travel 17 to 1800 miles per hour and then turn 90 degrees and accelerate at the same time. It's not going to happen. It's been documented. We have recorded radar sessions where the military has followed these things, and there's no way they could have done these things. We're not dealing with actual UFO craft. Now, I have videos where I speculate that what I believe UFOs to be rangefinders, and I explain in detail why I believe that these are like rangefinders to open up a dimensional envelope, and why I believe that, and what it has to do with the Devil's Triangle and the Bermuda Triangle, what people have actually seen when the sky corkscrews, when it completely acts like a mechanical phenomenon, and now clouds and blue sky and the ocean actually break apart like glass shattering, and then the individual pieces begin to unhinge and then corkscrew. People have described this. This is a hologram with a portal opening up. This is a piece of the actual holography around us, which is illusory, actually opening up to what's beyond the hologram. And people have seen this. In fact, a lot of people have never returned from it. This is why we have so many airlines where the airplanes themselves are not found. We have the black boxes. And for those of you who don't know, those commercial craft and military craft, they don't have just one black box. But this is all the media talks about. They have 2, sometimes 3 GPS locators with independent battery systems for the purpose of being able to find any aircraft that goes down. So when Malaysian Airlines disappeared with hundreds of passengers, it was a genuine mystery. There's more evidence the plane just went up than it ever hit the ground. There was no flotsam, no jetsam. There was no indication anywhere that it landed in the ocean. And even if it did, one of those black boxes would have continued to do the signals. They are designed for high velocity impact survival. Everybody might die. The fuselage might be crushed, but the black boxes will survive. So it's a bigger mystery than you think when these planes just disappear. But it's not new. There have been whole crews of military naval cadets on European ships that have vanished absolutely without a trace. Of course, it's easy to say that it sank into the ocean. But there's been other ships that vanished in full view of other naval captains, like the Bannock burn. And there are many, many, many. There are whole books published that catalog in the past 500 years all the hundreds of derelict ships that have been found. A derelict ship is a ship that is floating on the ocean with not a single person attending it. Food, wine, things have been found in yachts, been right there as if there was no struggle whatsoever. It's almost as if something appeared, took the people, left the hardware, left the ship. Yeah, this is, you guys can do your own research. There are many books published about derelict vessels. This is not evidence of UFOs. It's not evidence of extraterrestrials, none of that. I'm sorry, but if you came to this video looking for any evidence of the existence of a galactic federation and aliens that are coming to help humanity, you're going to leave distressed because you won't find that in Archaix. It's adult fantasy. This is some playground mentality. It's adults playing with Barbie dolls is what it is, to believe in the Galactic Federation and aliens that are on the outside of the atmosphere with thousands of ships, and they're about to come and save humanity. And they're here just to monitor us, but they're going to push us into a golden age by raising our vibration to 5D or 6D or 7D. Listen, guys, we need to grow up as a collective, because we're not going anywhere with all these childish narratives at all. So derelict ships is something you can research. It's not evidence of ETs, but it is evidence of human abduction, 100%. Just like national parks. There's no evidence of UFOs in national parks. Nope. but there is evidence that people are disappearing in them. Yeah, there's a reason why those areas were marked off and called national parks. So all throughout antiquity, we have all the evidence of technolithic of structures. Technolithic is hyperbolic curves. We have planes with tolerances that are so flat that they are flatter and smoother than the marble on a bank building. But there was no reason to build things at that tolerance. There's no reason, because we wouldn't be able to distinguish the difference. The naked eye can't see it, and you can't feel it. Those tolerances aren't aesthetic. Those tolerances are due to the absolute perfection of a technology that was producing those planes. We have this evidence in Pumapunka. We have this evidence in Tiwanaku. We have this evidence in ancient places all throughout Southeast Asia, and especially the Great Pyramid of Egypt exhibits this type of high technolithic technology. Technolithic was coined by James O'Con. Technolithic is exactly what it is. It is the production of archaeological monuments, edifices, and gigantic structures that could have only taken a species of machines for which we don't know anything about. But they are not evidence of extraterrestrials or alien technology at all. They're evidence of high sophistication. They are evidence of a technology that was operating under a different biosphere, the vapor canopy. So, again, one of the greatest pieces of evidence that the ancient aliens cult has put forth as basically being their magnum opus. This is the one item no one can deny. Here is absolute proof in ancient aliens. This is what the ancient alien group promotes, and it is the sarcophagus, the relief of the sarcophagus of Lord Pakal Votan in Central America. It's a Mayan pyramid with a tomb underneath it, inside of it. It's actually several structures that were built at different time periods over, but Pakal Votan's burial sarcophagus is in there, and it's fantastic. It's amazing. The relief was survived all this time, like 1,260 years before it was excavated in the 1950s. The relief shows a Mayan king or priest. It might be, it's probably Pakal Votan, but he's leaning back in a chair looking through a device. And way up in the sky, now, I'm going to tell you now, the ancient aliens, in all the books and all their videos, they show it over and over and over, and they swear up and down that it is an ancient astronaut blasting off into space in his rocket. And their evidence is that he's leaning back, looking up, and get this, there are flame sigils in Mayan all on the sides. What they're not telling you, though, is he's looking through an apparatus at the sky. And in the sky, at the top of the sarcophagus, is a perfect depiction of the Mayan phoenix. And those flames are coming off the phoenix. That's what the phoenix does. So the Mayan sigils on the sarcophagus are apocalypse destructive sigils. This is not an ancient astronomer who's barefoot and not wearing any type of protective gear, leaning back in a rocket about to go up. That's as stupid as Zecharia Sitchin's translation of the ancient Semitic word shim as meaning rocket ship. He's the first one in history to have ever said that, because I have access to the old Amorites in Aramaic syllabaries, and I have researched it and published it in my book, The Lost Scriptures of Giza, and I show you right there the word Shem meant two things in the ancient mind. It meant one's name. My name is Jason. It meant one's name, and it also was the actual word for a stone monument, a Shem. And when Jacob formed an alliance with people, he raised his Shem as a witness between him and Laban, just like Abraham raised his Shem as a witness between him and the Philistines, Abimelech. Yeah, he raised his monument. And of course, his monument, which was a pillar or a pile of stones like a cairn called a Hermian heap, a cairn, it's going to have his name inscribed on it somewhere. That was a witness to all the surrounding landowners that Abram, the Hebrew, just made a deal with Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, and now they have a peace treaty, and everybody knows that that peace treaty truly exists because they put a shim there, which has the names of those involved, and it's a stone monument. Zechariah Sitchin changed the word shim to rocket ship. Yeah. Oh my God, I lost IQ points just thinking about that again. So. So anyway, UFOs in the sky simply means unidentified flying object. And I'm telling you now, many people have seen UFOs. Charles Fort documented several of them. I remember an instance in London when people looked up at the sky and noticed, and a crowd of people gathered, and they looked up, and there was two triangular pyramid looking structures in the sky, and the clouds were moving, but the structures stayed the same. They did not move as the clouds were moving, and it caught people's attention, and a crowd developed, and they started looking. And then I think after they realized they weren't cloaked like they thought they were cloaked, they started fading away and they disappeared when enough people started looking up at them. So, yes, there are UFOs. Jason of Archaix will tell you right now that UFOs have been seen in the sky for thousands of years. They have been seen all over, and I know that some people listening to my voice right now have actually seen UFOs. And with the same mouth that I admit all these things, I'm telling you now, UFOs are not evidence of extraterrestrial intervention or an extraterrestrial presence in this world. Not at all. At all. They're not evidence. That is a cognitive leap that you make, not based off the data, but because you've been led to conclude that. Yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah, there's no doubt, guys. So, I mean, we also, thank you, Doctor Chick. Also, the cargo cult phenomenon. Don't forget that, guys. Don't forget about cargo cult. Cargo cult is real. It's why so many things unfolded in the ancient world the way they did. When a technologically advanced civilization comes in, let's imagine 3,000 years ago. All right, 3,000 years ago was roughly 1,000 BC, just roughly. Let's imagine 1,000 BC. Now, 1,000 BC is 12 centuries after the collapse of the vapor canopy. It's 12 centuries after the Great Flood, the day the sky fell. In that time, several different cultures have had the ability to become technologically advanced again, and they do. And one culture rises up over all the others, and within 300 years, they're ruling all of Central America and these beautiful pyramids and city complexes that are now found under the jungle today. But they're all there. They're these massive complexes. But on the other side of the world, it's a Mediterranean dark age. Sea People's Confederation, the invasion of the Dorians, the Phoenix phenomenon has completely plummeted and collapsed every civilization that borders the Mediterranean and Black Seas. But on the other side of the world is a technologically advanced civilization that's now using all kinds of things that we'd have never imagined today because they weren't restricted. They're not even using fossil fuels. They found another way to create technology in motorboats, and they build these fantastic roads that go for thousands of miles all over Central America and northern South America. And we know they did because we found them. And they tunneled deep into the ground in these massive galleries of rock. And we don't know how they did that tunneling so precise. Yeah, read David Hatcher Childress's books, The Lost Cities. You'll know what I'm talking about. Absolutely no history books, no memories, no traditions about these cities. These are under the Olmec in Mayan cities. Yeah, we have so much fascinating things about our world. But it's nothing for the Phoenix phenomenon to end that civilization. And then 500 years later, 500 years later, now in North America, there's a technologically advanced civilization, 500 BC, when the Greeks were just emerging as the main power in the Mediterranean, opposing the Persians. But in North America, there's a fantastically technologically advanced civilization. But because of its seclusion, it is pretty much protected by two vast oceans. There's no reason for those people in that culture to have any contact with the old world. They may not even know the old world exists, but they've got a whole different thing going on. Over and over and over throughout antiquity, we have had technologically advanced civilizations rise up and meet different avenues, and different echelons of advancement. There's really no way to put a unit of measurement on advancement, because you can go in so many different directions. But in every instance, there would have been cargo cults, because a cargo cult, where the term cargo cult came, was from World War II, when United States military occupied several Pacific islands in its war against Japan. And the Pacific Islanders, who had never done anything but spear fish with sticks and use nets to haul in oysters and crabs and lobsters and dive for their food, and only grow the few edibles that on the island, that would all of a sudden aircraft carriers, battleships, battle frigates, all kinds of smaller craft used to shuttle men and materials, dragonflies from the sky like helicopters, and these giant boxes that would float down to the ground, these parachutes. And they watched this for a couple years, and these primitive people saw this. And then when they always knew, because there was exchanges with the locals in the military, and they realized, oh, this is a cigarette, this is a cigar, this is a t-shirt, and they got these shiny baubles, and they were amazed. These Americans were like the gods to them, and they could fly, and they built gigantic canoes that could hold thousands of people, and flying metal birds, and they made these things out of steel and metal, and they floated on water. They're gods. So these cargo cults would develop, and when World War II was over, these same locals were now like, damn, we ain't got no more cigarettes coming. These t-shirts are getting old and faded, and all the things that the Americans left, man, they're all decaying and getting old. And so they come up with elaborate rituals, and they clear a whole space out and create their own runway. And then they use the local materials to build a little tower to copy the tower that the US military had. And they would have a guy out there with sticks waving his arms, because that was the ritual to get the metal birds to land on the ground and drop off all kinds of delicious things. So they mimicked the very things they saw and created rituals. And after 10, 15, 20 years, these cults had basically turned, this is sympathetic magic. This is how they're trying to induce the return of the gods. Cargo cults are ancient. They've been going on. There's evidence of them in ancient records going all the way back to the advent of writing. And that's because technologically advanced or more superior civilizations were in contact with more primitive ones. And this contact, once it was over, always left behind a cargo cult. So, excuse me. So basically, we can take every bit of information that I've conveyed in this video, and we can basically sum it up with the fact that none of it is evidence of extraterrestrials and aliens. It's not. But we can take every bit of that information, and we can apply it to a different scenario, and that different scenario completely answers for all the evidence. Every single bit of it. And what I'm telling you is that we have an underworld. That underworld is occupied by a race that can use human DNA to perpetuate its longevity. It can survive by fresh infusions of human DNA, but it has to filter it, because there are some things about human DNA, maybe some races, maybe maybe there's some coding that's buried in different people that needs to be strained. because it's toxic to them. Genetic experiments are conducted. People are abducted all the time because their technology is very sophisticated. From the underworld, they can control weather. From the underworld, they can use technologically advanced range finders. And those range finders look like pinpoints of light that they can balloon out to look like a amoeba or a bubble. They can concentrate so much that they can actually drip light or plasma. They can change directions because they're being controlled by technology far deep in the underworld. But it manifests way up here. And when a plane is traveling, if they can use the rangefinder just to get it into contact with that plane, it can open up a dimensional envelope. And if the plane goes in it, the plane disappears because they can instantly bring men and materials from Midgard, our world, into the underworld with their technology if they can just hone in and target right, which is not easy because it's a vast difference between where we are and when they are down there. So all the evidence answers for an underworld species that has been interacting in human affairs for thousands of years. And such a technologically advanced species would have already advanced far beyond the need of fossil fuel engines. They would have already advanced far beyond the need for anything that we see as a recognizable frame of reference when it concerns technology. This is my theory. This is the Archaix premise that we are not the only ones occupying this world. That we are basically co-inhabiting this world with someone else. And I believe that race is also revealed in several ancient texts, and that we've had interactions with them, and that for a while they tried to keep us in ignorance, and they tried to keep us naked, and they tried to keep us living like beasts and animals, when in truth, once we finally realized that they weren't able to just come up and take over and enslave us, that's when we experienced what is known as the fall of man, which was anything but a fall. It was freedom. It's the exact opposite of what we've been told. And that religions and socio-political institutions, they're all control mechanisms. And that there is a body politic operative in human affairs today that we call the elite that are working with this group. They receive their power and their benefit from this group. It doesn't matter what the collective think about the elite. They don't care because their true power doesn't come from the voting systems. It doesn't come from any of that. Their true power comes from those in the underworld who have been in control of human affairs from the very beginning. But they are restricted. This is not the situation where the entire human race is enslaved. And this is why I promote the idea in Archaix over and over that we have a benefactor, because that benefactor is feared. Because if there was no benefactor, we would have all been enslaved a long time ago and not have all the rights, privileges, immunities, and freedoms that we enjoy today. So there's a struggle, and humanity's in the middle of it. But unlike what the religions teach, we are guilty of nothing. We are not the ones that introduce the darkness. We're just the ones moving through it. That's my presentation, guys. Ancient aliens is absolute BS. There is nothing to. There's no evidence. All these beautiful books and movies and videos, they are absolutely packed full of real data, but the conclusions are wrong. Our enemies are in the underworld. They are not in the stars. They are not from space. There's nothing out there. Why? Because we live in a construct. And as long as we are quarantined away from the rest of creation inside the simulacrum, there's nothing, no capital ships, no drop ships, no drop shuttles, invasion forces, nothing from outside the construct is coming in here until this controversy inside the construct is satisfied. It's over. Only then will we return to the real reality? And as I have told you guys many times in the past, I believe on the real reality, there are capital ships, there are space travel, there are other worlds, galaxies, cosmoses. I believe all that because this is a copy of something that is real. But being a copy means it's artificial here. And as long as it's artificial here, nothing can get through that barrier. It's not coming in here. So you can go ahead and just, yeah, your Galactic Federation friends, tell them to show you the proof. We're done talking. We're done. We're done with you channeling information. You need to put up or shut up, because I'm tired of hearing it myself about the Galactic Federation and all these other UFO knots. Now, you have fallen for the psyop that makes you believe that everything is without, but it's not. It's within. It's within the construct. They're below us. This is who the elite work for. So my presentation's done, guys. I'm done. I'm done ranting. Going to put my Star Wars helmet back on. Thank you for those likes. Tell you this coffee's still good. Coffee, even when coffee's cold, I'm going to drink it. Gnostic baseball. We're not going to let that. We're not going to let that comment. I'm going to hide that comment, bro. But I do agree with you. I do agree with you. Let me look through here. You guys know you're gonna have to forgive me. Matt's not here to go through this chat, pull out these questions and all that. So you're gonna have to forgive me. There's a lot of chat that I can't access anymore because it's moved far beyond my ability to scroll up to. I just can't. The first one I see is Ramen Bear. Why do you always cite Ancient Aliens, David Childress, as a legitimate source? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because David Hatcher Childress, when he wrote the Lost Cities books, all he did was catalog and amass all this data, but he never promoted ancient aliens in those books. In those books, he just told you this is Peru. This is what they found. Here are 17 different authors, archaeologists, and everything they said about this area of the world. Here, he did a genius job of basically just demonstrating for us what the knowledge was on any given area of the world. David Hatcher Childress did that. And I will always honor when I find research, or when I find somebody said something in the past. I will honor what it is they said in the past. If they became someone else later on in their life, that does not nullify to me their genuine original message. Yeah, I'm not going to cast judgment on somebody just because they have now fallen for the ancient aliens deal. I'm not even convinced he believes in the ancient aliens at all. I've listened to those programs. I don't hear him promoting that. I hear him just going on with them other guys that are promoting that, but they always lean on him because he's very well read and he's also been to many of these places. He's done the research. That's why I cite him. Now, I don't really cite David Hatcher Childress as a source. I'm telling you to go read him because he cites all the sources. That man's bibliography is awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. So, yeah, I'm not saying he's right about everything, but he's done a whole lot better than almost anybody else I've ever seen, because his is an overview of all the ancient sites in the known world. Did he get them all? Of course not. Nobody can. Nobody can. I was impressed with his ancient cities and lost civilizations of Lemuria in the Pacific. I had no idea there was so much archaeological ruins in Asia and the Pacific Islands. Micronesia, Melanesia, Polynesia. Yeah, he educated the hell out of me on that. Didn't even know. Never would have thought to look in that area of the world. Absolutely. Yeah, the UFOs, guys, you got to understand. UFOs are evidence of unidentified flying objects. That's what a UFO is evidence of. It is evidence that, oh, well, look at that. It's not evidence that two ET little bastards are in there in that vehicle doing all kinds of, it's not. It's evidence of an unidentified flying object. That's all it's evidence of. Yeah, you don't know where it came from. In prior videos, I explained the majority of UFO documentation has always published that they are seen entering and exiting bodies of water and the ground, mountains and valleys. Yeah, they're not seen going in and out the atmosphere. Guys, this stuff's all in the underworld, every bit of it. Yeah, that's another thing. Black Knight satellite. Have any of you ever tried to wonder? Because it first appeared on Facebook years ago. Black Knight satellite. Look at this thing right here. It looks like somebody made it up on a computer, because what agency took that photo and then released it to Facebook? There's no provenance. There's no chain of custody on that photograph. It's just a photograph that appeared on Facebook, and everybody says, "Oh, that's the Black Knight." Come on, man. These are psyops. If I was running an intelligence op, I would definitely, over every few years, release, steady release, steady release, steady release, continue to perpetuate the deception. You don't even need to have proofs. As a matter of fact, by being silent as to a chain of custody, it promotes the conspiracy. Oh, that was leaked. That's why nobody's talking about where it came from, who took it. Yeah, what other vehicle was up there that close to this alien object to have taken that picture? It's doctored. Whole thing's doctored. Yeah, you guys don't have to agree with me, but I mean, you're gonna listen to my channel, then you do it to yourself. But if you get triggered into thinking that, oh, you're full of shit, aliens do exist, ETs exist, okay, well, you're obviously in the wrong place. You're obviously in the wrong place. You need to go somewhere that's going to basically feed you the paradigm that you want to believe in. That's what you need to do. B-52's good time. Boy, that Ramen Bear, you really tore up about that David Hatcher Children's promotion, ain't you? It's like the fifth comment I've seen of yours. I told you, why are you promoting David Childress while trying to debunk ancient aliens? I don't have to try to debunk ancient aliens. If you can't follow the logic of this presentation, you're not ready for Archaix. Yeah, you need to go to an ancient aliens channel. They're gonna make you happy. I'm not. I'm not even gonna try. Looking for a question. Dogman, the ability to assess all this material from so many different sources and conclude that there's a race in the underworld and that many traditions refer to it doesn't give me the ability to also tell you exactly what that race is. I can't. I'm not gonna take a bunch of logical pieces of analysis and put them all together and see the cognitive bridge that's formed in this whole data set from so diverse sources, and then at the end of that apply imagination and try to tell you they're reptilian, or try to tell you that they're amphibian, or try to tell you that they're a hybrid of humans. I'm not going to do that. I wish I could. I don't have enough data. I don't have enough information on it. But whoever it is, they need human DNA. They need to replenish, or they wouldn't be abducting human babies and switching them out like huge incubator clone factories in the underworld. Yeah, it's crazy. That's basically the scenario that we're looking at. Wish I could tell you who's underground. I believe they're a type of human, and that different humans have survived different biospheres. That's why our gene pool is so fantastic. That's why there's so many different races, there's so many unique combinations because we have developed through different biospheres. Again, what's the deal with cattle mutilation? Exactly. Cattle mutilation is not evidence whatsoever of extraterrestrials. It's not it's evidence of a race that requires certain enzymes, or they wouldn't be taking those livers and pancreases out. They wouldn't be taking the internal organs out of these cattle with such precision. Yeah. This underworld, this underground civilization is responsible for the cattle mutilations, just like they are the human abductions. But when it comes to humans, it seems like their activity is restricted. This is why I'm telling you we have a benefactor. You know what I mean? We could switch right over to the religious deal and just interpret that as God. I don't know, but there's a reason why they don't just all out do things. Their activity is restricted. People are returned as best they can. They return them back to their locations. Yeah, they suffer time dilations. People wake up and realize, damn, I'm missing 2.5 hours. What happened in that 2.5 hours? Then a year later, some woman develops back problems, and she doesn't even realize that it's connected to an incident that happened 2.5 years earlier when she felt a weird presence in her bedroom while she was sleeping. Yeah, alien abduction is real. The implants are real, but it's the same race also doing the cattle mutilations. All that. Remember what a cattle are, guys? They're mammals. We don't have alligator, snake, reptile. We don't have mutilations of dolphins. We don't have none of that. We have mammal cattle mutilations. And sometimes pigs, sometimes horses have been found, but they're all mammals. Yes, the Nordics being reported in Raymond E. Fowler's book, The Watchers. He goes into a lot of that. People who do remember their experiences, that's their main experience. One was Nordics, these extraterrestrial, alien, whatever. They look like Aryans, like ancient Aryans. That's what they look like. An extraterrestrial species, and they sometimes have these little gray aliens as their attendants, these ancient elves. So yeah, that's it. But they're still, just because we can identify them through the traditions and through different hypnotic testimonies and from eyewitness testimonies of people who woke up during their experiences, just because we can identify them, there's no reason to make the cognitive leap that they're coming from space. This is what somebody on Earth wants us to believe. When your beliefs are shepherded by the slow release of information that will make you think it's natural progression to lean in that certain direction, that's when you got to watch out. You got to watch out. There's a reason why they want you to believe the things that they want you to believe. Those are all red flags. Absolutely. What is this? 1 hour and 40 minutes. I'm looking for all capitals are what I look for. Anything else, I'm assuming you guys were talking to yourselves. I look for all capitals. Let's see. My best live to date? Damn, Terry. I didn't think it was my best. I know it was interesting, but somebody said, "Hey Jason, I've lost it. I lost it, but I did read enough of it." Hey Jason, I've never heard you talk about Antarctica. Well, there's a reason for that. What information could I possibly offer you about Antarctica that you can't already see on YouTube or Facebook or wherever y'all get y'all's information today? Remember, Archaix is about going through old sources. I don't have any old sources on Antarctica. The only thing I have is Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings by Charles Hapgood, and the unveiling of the Piri Reis map, the Turkish navigator that shows a map of Antarctica without snow and ice, shows the mountains, the valleys, where the rivers are supposed to be, which is absolute proof that the Ice Age idea is total bullshit. You can't have both ice ages and a 600-year-old map that's going around that shows Antarctica free of ice. Now let me introduce the Spitzenberg data. Yeah, you can't have these things, all can't be true. So yeah, you never hear me talk about Antarctica because I don't know where I would get any ancient information about it. There's nothing in the historical record that will tell me anything about Antarctica. It's the Antarctica can only be derived from materials that, from the 20th century. The guy that went to the poles supposedly found out there was evidence of other continents and all that. None of that is really information that I just can't. I can't offer anything new, so there's no reason for me to go through it. No, it's 20th century data, 20th century information. It's not even really interesting to me. I have no idea if that's a psyop or not. I have no idea if they're making that up. None of that. I'm familiar that there's videos on YouTube about it. I'm familiar there's books published about it, but everybody can only cite Admiral Byrd. What else could you possibly cite? You cite Admiral Byrd and whatever he said happened. And that's about it. And whatever military ops were going on at the same time. This type of information, 20th century relative, this is the type of information that's better off being conveyed by the very people who are conveying it. I'm not an expert at that. Don't know anything about the modern stuff like that. Oh yeah, Linda Coops. I saw Roger live at Leeds UFO conference. Fascinating case studies. Yeah, Dr. Roger Lear. He'll give you some bad dreams. Yes, he will. Absolutely. Yes, he will. Rotom Electric. Jason, do you think there are other races besides humans on the outside of the simulation? Listen, the only thing I can speculate at this point is that I think humans are on the outside of the simulation because we invented the simulation. We did this. Uh, we are participating in it now, and we find it mysterious, and we find it long lives and all that. But really, we're in a time dilation, and when this construct collapses and it's over with, and we make our exodus, it's going to be one of those 18, 19-minute ordeals where we just look at each other like, "Wow, that was an awesome ride. I'm ready to do the next one." Or we go to lunch together and talk about all the different lifetimes we lived and who we were. Because now, I mean, once we exit this holography, everything in our real life is returned to us in memory, and we know where we are. We know that at 7 o'clock we have a date. We know by 9:30 p.m. we'll probably be in bed. We might be on some capital ship with about 50,000 other people, and then we're just traveling in between stars. And while we're traveling these vast distances through a real universe, that we enjoy these little excursions to further develop our personality. And we have translated this inside the simulacrum as some type of religious experiment between heaven and hell and the development of an immortal personality and all that, when actually it's all us on the outside just wanting to break up the monotony. So we have created these hyper sophisticated, very realistic VR experiences that only happen in a couple hours or a couple minutes, but we feel like on the inside we've lived entire lifetimes. I mean, it's all just a program, and there may be hundreds of these programs. This one is focused on the Nemesis cataclysm and everything that happened after that in the world. So yeah, these are things I speculate and I talk about in other videos. But as far as other races on the outside of the simulacrum, the only thing I can deduce is that we are the race on the outside of the simulacrum. Remember, the gods in the beginning made man in their image. Well, this is if a human is the image of his maker, then his maker is human. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this because I got to use the bathroom. I started drinking this coffee too early. And I was playing with my microphone settings and my Star Wars mask. And I started a little too early, guys. I got to use the bathroom. Material classified. I haven't seen you in a while. Yes, crop circles are the same exact energy. It's not UFOs. It's the same energy being controlled from the underworld. It's the same thing that opens those dimensional envelopes and the UFOs with all that act all erratic, the range finders, all that's being done from underground facilities. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this video, guys, because I'm over here dancing in my seat because I got to pee. And thank you, moderators. Thank you, those who donated. I'm sorry I couldn't tag everybody and name her. I don't have Matt with me. Chat's moving way too fast. I appreciate your support always. Those of you who emailed me about the super PACs, they go out in the morning. There's a whole stack of them going out. No more thumb drives, guys. All super PACs are now SD cards, SD chips for all your devices. It's that keeps me from having to fill out so much international customs paperwork. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm done with that. So let's see. We have some new style videos coming, but like I told you guys from the beginning, December I was going full tilt in December because January starts the new Archaix. January starts new presentations. Yeah, we're gonna do lives. I'm gonna do videos just like this. I'm gonna do videos in the studio with Matt, but January starts PowerPoint presentations that are only 12 to 15 minutes long each, where I'm going to reinitiate dropping data sets like you don't believe. I'm just here. Here's one thing to take in consideration. Bam, 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 bam. Here, I'm going to lay it all out. Here it is. Here's the sources. This right here is just a single data set to take into consideration. And we're going to be doing all the way until the wheels fall off. We're going to be releasing these little short videos to remind people of how unique some of this information is and how they can apply it in their own life or to other people's research. So until next time, guys, thank you for all those likes. Thank you for your participation. The next live we do, you'll see Matt. He's a little preoccupied today doing something. But until then, I got to use the bathroom.